Rial. In today's video, we're going to be making some primitive style vases and bowls using items from the Dollar Tree and from the hardware store. Now, I've been seeing this trend lately where like primitive style vases, bowls, and lamps, accessories for the home have been making a really big comeback. I feel like maybe the farmhouse aesthetic and like the industrial aesthetic kind of combined has made like this, happen. So I thought it'd be really cool if we did a video where we kind of explore that aesthetic using concrete as well as some other materials to fortify that and to make some really interesting bowls and vases. So let's get exploring. Alright, so we're going to put our safety wear on, some gloves and some goggles. I'm going to put about half a cup cold water and about 2 tablespoons of this fortifier and about a cup and a half of concrete. You can eyeball this all. If you need more concrete or more water, just add it. You want about a batter kind of pudding consistency. And then we're going to use this colander from the Dollar Tree as well as some mold release. And then we're going to use some rope from the Dollar Tree, 2 bundles that I picked up. And we're going to cut the plastic ends off because we don't need those. Now you're going to want to make sure that you saturate all this rope in the concrete really well. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the more you saturate it, the better hold you're going to have. So make sure it gets in there really well. And then we're going to pull it out, and simple. We're going to wrap it around this colander. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want to keep pushing down, pushing down so you fill in the gaps and crevices. But don't worry too much about that because we are going to go back through with some more concrete. So here I'm going to just work the next round of rope onto here. It is going to come out to be a little more than I need, and that's not going to be a big deal. You can kind of keep adjusting if you want to get more on there, or you can just simply cut off the little extra, and then I tuck the bottom into there, and then we're going to add more of that slurry on there. At this point, your concrete's going to be thickening up, so it's going to be perfect for getting into all these little crevices. It's going to be like that pudding, like I said, a pudding kind of consistency, and if you need, just add a little water to thin it down. Once you get a majority of those cracks filled in, because I do think a little bit kind of looks cool, but whatever your liking it is, once you're done, just let that dry overnight and sit and cure. And once that is cured, then you can pull out your mold. Now, I did mess up. I shouldn't have used a colander because I wasn't thinking that the concrete is going to seep through, so this did break. But no big deal. I just went back through and I sanded it down, and then I added a little bit of this slurry that I made, kind of like a milkshake consistency, I would say, with this guy. And I just filled in some of those crevices and holes, which I kind of liked how that kind of made a texture on the inside of the bowl. So it wasn't too big of a fail or mistake, I thought, on my end. Now, once that was done to my liking, you're just going to let that dry again and cure. And then I made a mixture of water and acrylic paint together, kind of making like a slurry. And I put this on and I realized that it was just too thin. It really wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. So I did put this coat on, but then I went back through after it dried and I put a second coat of just plain white acrylic on. And I really enjoyed how that covered. It kind of created a really nice white just palette, so you could see all the texture coming through. It's really up to your liking. You could paint this black. Black would look really cool. I could see this even like a dark navy would be really awesome, or just kind of leave it how it is, and you could just seal it with, if you want, with some concrete sealer. It's up to you. I really feel this DIY adds a really cool primitive rustic feel to your home. Let me know what you think about it. Alright, and here we have it. I just styled it with some limes from the yard, but you could throw some beads in here or by itself. Whatever you like, it just adds that nice rustic primitive feel. I really like it. Let me know what you'd use it for. Alright, so we're going to throw some gloves on. Now I work with concrete a lot, so I know these mixtures well, but kind of a half cup of water, 2 tablespoons of fortifier, and a cup and a half or so of concrete. you want to get it to kind of like a cake batter pudding consistency. So you could add a little more water, add a little more concrete if you need to. You get that consistency, that's good. And make sure it's mixed well. After that's mixed up nice and well, we're gonna get our rag. I wanted a different shape, so I cut off the corners because I didn't want them pointy. But you could do any kind of fabric really, as long as it has a good weave to it. And here I just used a rag from the studio. Now we're gonna use this bowl from the Dollar Tree and coat it with some mold release. And then coat our rag. We're gonna saturate our rag in the concrete. If it does dry up a little bit like you see here, add more water, but it has to be completely saturated. Once it's saturated, you wanna drape your rag or cloth over your base, and then add more of that concrete onto there, and get the shape that you want, get the flow that you want, because it's gonna stay however that you put it. And kind of have something that's loose, very natural. Don't try to be perfect whatsoever. This is not a perfect craft. And then once that's done and dried, you're going to pull that out. As you can see, I broke the bowl on accident. No big deal. I'm going to make a little slurry of concrete to fill in any crevices. But just do this to as much as you like. You can keep it as rustic as you want, or keep putting more layers on to kind of create a more smoother finish. I knew what I was going to use this for in the end for a planter, so I didn't worry too much about it. Now I did go in the inside with a little bit of whitewash, just in case I did want to use it for something else afterwards, just to give it a little character. But like I said, I was just going to use this for a planter anyways. But this could be cool black as well, or maybe even gold. So here it is with a plant I picked up from Home Depot. But what would you use it for? Alright, so we're going to use these balloons from the Dollar Tree, and I made a little concrete mixture and a Tupperware bowl. And we're going to make the balloon the size, whatever size that you want. I'm going to use this for a candle holder, so I kept that in mind. Now you're going to dip it a few times in this mixture. It's going to be the consistency of like a milkshake. You're going to do this about 2 or 3 times and let it dry in between each time for, I'd say, at least a half an hour. To kind of create a steady layer. Now each time I did put it on some crumpled foil, I found this works really great. Once you have enough layers built up, you want a thicker mixture of concrete. We're thinking about a mixture that's kind of like a pudding mixture now, and then you're going to hand spoon or like hand put that on there. It's going to be a little messy, so make sure you do this in an area that you can create a little mess in. But as you can see, it creates a really cool textural effect on the outside, doing it with your hand. And just get that to your liking, and make sure that you have it thick enough so that way when you take the balloon out, you have a nice surface. So here I'm just going to take the balloon out. It comes out pretty easy, like 1 or 2 pieces. So don't worry too much about breaking or anything, as long as you made the globe thick enough. Now it does break a little on top because it is thinner. That is the cool part, because each one's going to be individualized because it's going to have that cool opening. So don't worry too much. And actually, since I'm going to use it as a candle holder, I do want to break open enough to get some flow in there. So I'm going to break that open a little bit more, then just use a little bit metallic paint, gold paint, spray paint that in there, and do about 2 or 3 rounds of spray paint. Now it doesn't matter if you get a little on the edge, I think, because it kind of adds a cool quality to it, but you can chip that away or sand that off. Now here it is with a couple other ones that I made. One I actually used some watercolors outside, and the other one is just colored concrete. But these are really fun to make and super easy. And here is everything all together. Now I feel these work super well all together in a grouping, or you could easily pair them with other materials like glass or metal or wood. This would be great outside. Any of them would be great outside, actually. You know, a succulent planter. This would be great as a catch-all coming into the house for your keys. I could see this with just some pebbles in it, or pebbles and a little tea light. That would be really nice. A centerpiece for a party. It's just really up to you, and the materials are so cheap that, you know, you can't go wrong, and, you know, it just works really well with a lot of different aesthetics. But let me know what you think. Does this fit into your aesthetic? Is this a craft that you would do? Do you love it as much as I do? Well, let me know in the comments below if you think this is a DIY craft that you would do for your home decor. So, what did you think? Do you want to try any of these? Do you think that any of these ideas would fit into your aesthetic? I really feel like if you have a farmhouse vibe or the industrial vibe like I said, or if you just want something in your house that really is like adds a bit of warmth and textural quality to your home, I think making one of these or maybe even grouping them together would be a great idea. But let me know in the comments down below what you think, and thank you so much for watching. Oh, you made it to the end. Well, then you should hit subscribe so you don't miss out on anything.